Yeah, so I'm gonna pick about 30 bowl games and just say who I think is gonna win on all of them, and then we'll get into the NFL for this week. We have UTSA versus Troy. I think this is on Saturday, December 17th. I'm gonna take UTSA. I know Troy. I think they started out 0-2 and then they won 10 straight. I've actually just been a really big fan of UTSA all year. That is Secure Bowl. Then we got the Fenway Bowl, since Cincinnati versus Louisville. Um, I'm not sure if Malik Cunningham's playing for Louisville this week, so I'm going to take Cincinnati. And then we have the Las Vegas Bowl, Florida versus Oregon State. I know Anthony Richardson isn't playing for Florida. I know they're about 10-point dogs this week, so I'm going to take Oregon State there. Then we got in the LA Bowl, we have Washington State versus Fresno State. I'm blanking on Fresno State's quarterback right now, but last year he had a great year. Didn't hear as much about him this year, but I think he'll get the job done. Big game for Fresno State. They're a non-power five, so bowl games mean a lot to them more than some of the schools in the Power Five conferences. So I like Fresno State right there. Then we got SMU versus BYU. Um, I was leaning BYU here, but I'm actually gonna flip and go SMU. Their offense is pretty high flying offense, and I think they'll be able to put up points. And I could see BYU pulling it out just because of physicality, but I think if SMU spreads them out, that they'll end up running away with it. And then Baylor versus Air Force. I've been high on Baylor all year, even though I think they ended up going 7-5 or 6-6. I actually picked them to win the Big 12, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna ride with them again one more time, picking Baylor to win that. And then in the Independence Bowl, we have Louisiana versus Houston. I was huge on Houston at the beginning of the year. I thought they might be able to have a similar year as Cincinnati had last year. Didn't pan out, but I'm going to take Houston. And then we have Wake Forest versus Missouri. Um, I'm not sure if Sam Hartman's playing, but it doesn't. I don't think it matters that much. I'm going to take Wake Forest there. Missouri towards the end of the year started looking a lot better, but I think Wake winning a bowl game to them just means a little bit more right now. And then Wisconsin versus Oklahoma State. I was also huge on Oklahoma State this year in the Big 12. But I'm not sure if Spencer Sanders is going to play. If he's playing, give me Oklahoma State, but I don't think he is. So I'm going to take Wisconsin right here. I think they're just going to be too big and too physical for Oklahoma State. Then we have the Military Bowl, UCF versus Duke. I'm just going to take UCF. Haven't watched a lick of Duke this year. And then in the Holiday Bowl, we have Oregon versus North Carolina. You know what? I'm gonna take Oregon here. I was thinking UNC, but um, you know they just have not looked good the last 3 weeks of regular season. So even with a month off, I don't think much is gonna change. Then we have the Texas Bowl, Texas Tech versus Ole Miss. Give me Ole Miss. Give me Ole Miss. Pinstripe Bowl, Syracuse versus Minnesota. I like Minnesota's run game, so give me Minnesota. The Cheez-Its Bowl, Oklahoma versus Florida State. I'm surprised that this is the matchup. Florida State finished with a really good record. Oklahoma finished 7-5. Surprised that they got matched up against each other. I'm gonna take Florida State here. I think it's a pretty big mismatch. The Alamo Bowl, Washington versus Texas. I know Texas is favored in this game right now, and you know what? I'm gonna pick Washington. Give me an upset right here. Texas comes in, not too happy about playing in this. Bijan Robertson probably not gonna play. Yeah, give me Washington. Then we have Maryland versus NC State. I like the way Maryland played down the stretch of the year, but NC State started to figure it out as well. I'm going to go with NC State just because earlier in the year they were a highly touted team, possibly coming out of the ACC. Things didn't go their way, but they started to turn around towards the end. So I'm going to take NC State. Then we have the Sun Bowl, Pitt versus UCLA. I'm going to take UCLA. I don't know if DTR is playing, but it would if he is. It's his last game. Even though I don't think he's that clutch, I think he gets the job done. And then we have the Gator Bowl, Notre Dame versus Hot South Carolina. I personally think this is a big game for both teams. You always want to win your bowl game, go into the following season red hot. So, um, South Carolina obviously is a hot team, but you have a month off that kind of cools off. But I'm gonna pick them. I'm gonna pick South Carolina. Then we had the Orange Bowl. Two teams that got beat by South Carolina in back-to-back weeks. UT versus Clemson. DJ transferred. We talked about that earlier in the year on the podcast, thinking he was going to end up transferring. UT, you don't have Hendon Hooker. You have Joe Milton. Like I mentioned a minute ago, big game for, I think, especially for Tennessee, build confidence for next year. If Joe Milton can show that he can be accurate with the football, it'll help them in the transfer portal to get more receivers, even though I think if you're a receiver right now in college football, you should Tennessee, if you're transferring, Tennessee should definitely be up there on your list. You know what? I'm gonna take UT money line. Then we have the Sugar Bowl, Bama versus Kansas State. Kansas State would love nothing more than to beat Bama, but it's not gonna happen. I'm gonna take Bama here. Music City Bowl, Iowa versus Kentucky. I'm going to this game. One of my best friends got his tickets. He's an Iowa fan, so I got to rock with Iowa right here. And then we have Mississippi State versus Illinois. I'm obviously going to take Mississippi State money right, Mississippi State right here. With everything that's going on, I think they're going to come out and play really hard. Then we have the Cotton Bowl, USC versus Tulane. I really wanted to take Tulane, but I can't do it. I'm going to take USC. Then LSU versus Purdue in the Citrus Bowl. Obviously, I'm taking LSU. And then the Rose Bowl, Penn State versus Utah. I was really high on Utah all year, but I'm going to take Penn State.